Alright. Big actor Matthew McConaughey has released his biography and we're going to review it. He wrote this to entertain and educate, nothing to do with any political ambitions rumoured. First up, I actually enjoyed this book. I don't normally enjoy biographies by celebrities, but this was actually not half bad. It's been described as a memoir, but McConaughey calls this an approach book. The book is called Greenlights because Matthew McConaughey refers to the red and green lights in his life, like a traffic light, in which the red light will often stop you from doing things, and the green light will help you go forward, obviously. Throughout the book, he will always refer to certain events in his life as red light or green light. He focuses on the traffic light system so that he can learn to identify the red lights in his life, avoid them, and get more green lights. Surprisingly, for a book that talks about green lights, the book's font is, on the front cover, red lights. Not quite sure what happened there. The book is full of life lessons and poetry that he's written with some chronological details of his life in the book as well. I highly recommend that you buy the audiobook of this rather than a book. 6 hours of alright might sound tough, but actually it brings the book to life. His narration is full of oohs and ahs. He laughs at his own jokes. Let's not forget, the guy's an actor and he plays the part of himself very well. He'll put on voices for other characters he's referring to. He'll take deep gasps and long, meaningful pauses. The writing is pretty good. There's nothing wrong with it really, but the way he narrates it just brings some extra character to it. There are a lot of mottos and bite-sized chunks of advice in the book, stuff he refers to as bumper stickers. Whether you find these bumper stickers cheesy or deep depends on you as a person. For me, I was somewhere in the middle. Some of the stuff he said I thought was pretty cheesy and perhaps trying to be too deep, and other stuff I sat back and I thought, yes, well done, Matthew McConaughey. Good point. If you're going to listen to the audiobook to help you sleep or you're going to listen to it to calm down, Matthew McConaughey won't really allow that. His volume control is off the chart. He'll be talking in a kind of smooth, slow tone 1 minute, and then all of a sudden he'll shout, "Note to self!" For the most part, this book is pretty self-aware. What I mean by self-aware is that some celebrities, when they do a memoir, they can sound very arrogant and they only keep the good stuff in. Matthew McConaughey does have the good stuff and the bad stuff, but he doesn't talk about the bad stuff in a whiny kind of way. It's, for the most part, a very positive book. Given that some of the things that happen in the book are terrible, it's actually a bit bizarre sometimes how cheery Matthew McConaughey sounds. But that's just his tone, I guess. In general, this is a book that made me feel good. It's not a book that wants to get consumed in its own misery. I mentioned that some people might find the book too cheesy. This again does depend on you as a person. The reason I say that is because I think if I read this book, it would have been a different experience to having listened to it. When you read something that might appear to be too cheesy or perhaps a bit airy, you might be inclined to dismiss it. But when you hear Matthew McConaughey's voice say it, there's something so jovial and cheeky about it that you sort of think to yourself, all right, I'll let him get away with it. It's Matthew McConaughey after all. Matthew McConaughey does not take the story of his life too seriously, and that's something that he takes away as a lesson in the book. Don't take life too seriously. I'm not a big fan of Matthew McConaughey or anything. I've liked a couple of movies, but I went into this as a very objective reader, and for the most part, I enjoyed it. It's not the most amazing thing I've ever read, but I did thoroughly enjoy it, and having the audiobook really made me feel like he was sitting down having a chat with me. Sometimes it feels like a memoir, sometimes it feels like a how-to guide, and sometimes it does feel a little bit like rambling, but like your mate rambling to you. The book is full of so many life lessons that you'll probably find one or two that resonate with you. Whether they have that kind of same power as, say, somebody else, for example, depends on you as a person, but if you do tolerate the book to the end, you might find it to be a very, very heartwarming experience. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. What do you think? Have you read it? Have you listened to it? What are your thoughts on it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Would love to hear your opinions. Thank you for listening. I'm Key James, and have a good week.